Okay, hello there. With some encouragement from a friend or two, I'm going to record a second video. I was a pastor for a while, full-time in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. Had some experiences where God would bring a team together for me. This was just the third church this occurred in. And wow, we had quite the times. I'll share one with you. I was in deliverance and healing for a while, for a few years. Here is one in which someone came to us because her husband was experiencing some dreams that she knew was very similar to the book of Revelation. And she said, we need to get back to the church. And so they did. And my first day at work in Parker, Colorado, I was assistant pastor to Michael Zender. This lady comes in and she says, I need a deliverance. I have this bear-like creature in me and it's tearing me apart. She said, I was in the New Age for many years. And she said, I got to be so good. Now, this is still hard for me to believe, but the more I look at quantum mechanics and physics, the little I know about it, um, I see where it's possible. She said, I got to be so good that I could vibrate my cells and disappear. I could become transparent. And she said, my mom freaked out because I did it for her once and she could not see me. And that's kind of the quality and abilities she had. Anyway, she comes in and Pastor Mike and I start praying for her. And she developed a wonderful gift of tongues, almost like a Native American sounding kind of language. And she sang with this gift of tongues, and it was gorgeous. That came out of this. But anyway, in addition to her freedom, of course. So we were praying for her, and I had a picture in my mind of clouds, and Mike and I were praying in tongues, and uh, and the Spirit was just so heavy on us. It was so beautiful. God's love and joy and peace was just overwhelming. And so we were praying for her, and she was giving us a little bit of clue as to what was going on because she was very familiar with spiritual things, of course. And then I had this vision of clouds, and it was her being released anyway. Pastor Mike had the interpretation of it. And she was so thankful and relieved afterwards. She was just, anyway. So she comes to my office, and I call a friend because I wanted a biblical verse for something that we just experienced, and he was in the Pentecostal movement. We were in a quasi-charismatic Lutheran church, and he knew his Pentecostal scriptures better, if I can call it that. And anyway, so I called him up, and I said, I have this lady here. We just went through a deliverance, um, and uh, and I needed to find such and such verse. And he said, wait a second. And this guy's prophetic. I knew him from my previous church in Blair, Nebraska. I would go to his church in the evenings when he'd have revival sessions downtown and be slain in the spirit and the stuff. And I was in this Lutheran church where that was a big no-no. So there's the pastor of not too big a town. Somehow, word didn't get out or people just forgave me. I don't know. But anyway, so I called him up and he said, hold right there. He said, I have a word for her. Is she like brown hair, shoulder length, kind of thin, such and such tall, wearing such and such shirt? Now, granted, he never met her, and there's no such thing as internet back then, not with like Skype or anything. I was just on a regular telephone with a cord on it, a corded telephone. And this is like 20 years ago. And I said, yes. He said, I got a word for her. So they talked for a while, and she's saying yes, 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 yes. And after he hung up, she said, well, I'm not supposed to use my prophetic giftings because it might be confusing as to if it's my former New Age kind of, if I can call it that, my psychic. I don't want to confuse my psychic abilities with prophetic, and I have to stay away from it for a while until I clearly can distinguish between the two. So anyway, that's a message for someone out there. That's not the story I was going to share today, but that's where I was led last second. But I have many, many, many more stories of a deliverance of an infant that was just 18 months old that spoke in a deep guttural voice, healings of different kinds, and I'll add those on. It sounds like it might be a little bit of an interest here. I've written them out before on Facebook, but I think being live is a whole new dimension to it. God bless you all. Love you all. And yeah, we'll talk again. Bye.